Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, February 27th, 8:46 a.m., and I have had a realization. I've had a realization. It's a simple realization, but I've had a realization. And that realization has changed the trajectory of what I believe will happen throughout the course of not today, not tomorrow, not 1 month, but my entire life, my entire existence will be changed by the revelation I had last night. Now, what is that revelation? What is that revelation? What could possibly have changed the way I think about the nature of my own existence? Ladies and gentlemen, I am no longer someone who is buying or selling options. I am now someone who operates in the derivatives market. I work in derivatives. You will never hear me say the word option again. I am a derivative investor. I work with derivatives. I trade derivatives. I understand how derivatives operate. You might as well just call me Derivamit. Derivamit. I think I'm going to change my entire LinkedIn bio to someone who operates in the derivatives market, and I am Derivamit. Because I realized last night that if I want to be taken seriously, if I want to be someone who is actually understanding the broader equity market, not the stock market, the equity market, then I need to change the vernacular, the vocabulary in which how I engage in the broader ecosystem of equities. And that means that I'm Derivamit. I don't know what to say, but I had that realization last night. Now I'm a derivatives person. I will never talk about options again. If I talk about, I'm thinking of these. No. I'm not thinking of these options. I'm not thinking of these spreads. I'm thinking of these derivatives. That's it. That's who I am. That's my new identity. It is what it is. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm just playing around. That was a little fun thing. I thought of last night. I tweeted it. I was like, this is what I'm doing. The responses under that tweet, I'm going to put this in the chat. You guys should definitely read those. There were some fun responses. All right, folks, we've got Bitcoin hitting 57,000. That's one thing we got to talk about today. Absolutely insanity. And it's hitting 57,000 for a reason. I got a lot of stats I want to show you guys. Palantir hit $24 in the pre-markets, came down just a little bit at 23.87. But we'll be talking about them. Palantir also invested in a company. Technically, they got granted their shares. They weren't really investing themselves. And I'll talk about why that happened and what's going on there. Robinhood, obviously in the pre-markets, we hit $16 right now. In the pre, we are at $16.09. So pretty cool. We just surged past 16 like it was no issue. So we'll talk about that and what's going on with Robinhood. On top of that, we have Tesla above $200 for the first time in like a month. And I know we hit 200 yesterday, but it was very short-lived. Right now, we're at 204.78. And so we'll be talking all about Tesla and what's going on. And then finally, I have some other stats to discuss about why this market is a bull market, some institutional stats to look at in terms of how inflows are coming into equities. And we'll discuss what's going on in the broader, not only equities market, but derivatives market. Thank you, everybody, for being here with me today. Let's get started for the market open. Top Dasher, Brent, iShow Sad, Profesco, Joe, Nick Piercy, Adrian, Italy, Dale, Johnny. Johnny said he's in still at the UPS store. I was late for the market close yesterday because I was at the UPS store, but I'm here today. Quick Pump, Damian, Ray, Gerald, Tony, Jeremy, Trucker, Rob, Paul, Mario, Hans, Greg, Jason, Gift Magic, John, Raul, Tony, June says a degenerate derivative. That's better than saying a degenerate options trader, quite frankly. Felicia, I love this man. He is like my brother from another mother. Felicia, I love you too. Thank you for being here. Shem Pasta, Jeremy, Ray, Kim, Sasky Rose, Cows, TY, Quick Bump, Nick, Sam Jack, 808 Trades, Benny. All right, let's get into it. So I think we'll start off with Bitcoin. We got to start off with Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin right now is just at a different level. So here's a couple stats I want to show you guys on Bitcoin, and then we'll get deeper into what's going on in the broader Bitcoin ecosystem. So inflows on Bitcoin are, I think, the thing to mainly discuss right now. Let me show you a series of tweets that I bookmarked that I want to show you guys, and then we'll keep going from there. Okay, so here we go. Let me share my screen here. Bitcoin right now, a couple things have happened. First of all, grayscale Bitcoin outflows, which were approaching about $500 million a day back in January, are now just $22 million. So that's the first thing. Grayscale it wasn't like a Bitcoin ETF. It was like a proxy to the Bitcoin ETF, and they had a ton of Bitcoin, or they had a ton of inflows coming in. Those people started leaving to go to other assets like actual ETFs. And that now is only at the tune of $22 million a day leaving. Before it was at, as you can see right here in January, right, $600 million a day. So that selling pressure on Bitcoin has started to come down. That's the first thing. That's positive news. Number two, the 9 Bitcoin ETFs have accumulated 294,385 Bitcoin in just 31 trading days. Now, why does that matter? Okay. Also, we'll talk about all the earnings yesterday. We had HIMS. We had a bunch of these companies. We'll talk about them. And we have retailers today, Lowe's, AutoZone, Macy's. So we have a ton of earnings. I forgot. We'll discuss those as well today. Bitcoin was at 50,000 last Saturday. Today it's at 57. The reason it went from 50 to 57, right, that this nice 11, 12% gain in a matter of a week, and really like 7% in a matter of 2 days, is because the accumulation of these ETFs, 294,000 Bitcoin, there's not enough Bitcoin to go around. And as a result of that, that's creating a lot of supply side pressure. Whatever you, again, I've been saying this, whatever you ideologically believe about Bitcoin is irrelevant. This is about supply and demand, and there's less supply and more demand. Coinbase is at $207 in the pre-markets. I mean, we haven't seen Coinbase at this level in forever. So the fact that Coinbase is at 207, that's how the market is a little bit more risk on in the context of Bitcoin. Third stat, $189 million of leveraged Bitcoin positions were liquidated in the last 24 hours. These are basically people who went short on Bitcoin or were short the Bitcoin ETF, which I don't know exactly if you can do, but there are very complicated ways in the derivatives market, where you can engage in the shorting of assets, even if you can't do it on your regular brokerage. And some of the more sophisticated traders are not that sophisticated, as they're down $200 million on leverage Bitcoin positions, and these had to be liquidated, obviously, because it would just continue to go lower. So that's what we're seeing right now in Bitcoin. A lot of momentum to the upside, and it's at this point, the question is what stops Bitcoin? What pulls the rug, right? How does it really fall down at a high level? And what I talked about yesterday in regards of retail sentiment is that retail's not even back into the equities markets, right? The search terms, like the retail is like, people are not signing up to Robinhood in troves. I mean, Robinhood got 120,000 users last month. In 2021, they were getting 2 million users a quarter. So like, I think when that happens, we'll know we're getting close to the top. That's not happening. People are not downloading Coinbase and They're not the number one apps on the App Store, right? It's still like Threads for some reason. People are using that. So if that's the case, this is all institutional, which to me feels it is still early because it's not at all-time highs. The technicals are looking great. We haven't even got into the halving event, which is going to decrease the supply even more about Bitcoin. I mean, I know this is very basic analysis, but it is what it is, right? When the supply goes down and that halving event decreases the amount of Bitcoin that are available, that are produced every single year, I mean, you're going to get more demand that's chasing it. The only way I see this gets rug pulled is if there's a massive sell-off. And my question here is that if the toots we just saw bought 300,000 Bitcoin in 31 trading days, why would they sell? The only way they would sell is if the ETF holders decided to sell the ETFs, because then the ETFs would need liquidity and they would have to sell the Bitcoin to be able to give them their money back. The problem is, or this really isn't the problem, but this is the problem for people that are bearish on Bitcoin, is that those ETF holders aren't selling this shit. Because like if you're a pension fund and you buy IBIT, which is BlackRock pitches you as this like new way to diversify your growth assets, is up 5% in the pre-market, you're not selling this for a very long time. Why would you? Right? Like what? Like to do what? If you're a pension fund, you're holding billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars for your clients for the next 40 years until they retire. There's no reason to sell. And so it seems that the larger idea around the institutional ETFs in terms of the clients they're servicing, which are not just retail investors, but really, really larger institutions, makes the hodling thesis around Bitcoin even more present. And as a result of that, I don't know if this thing's slowing down, and retail FOMO hasn't even come in. Bitcoin right now, 57,151. Robinhood is up 3% in the pre-market, $16.07. I have talked about this yesterday on the market close. I think that it's becoming obvious that as Bitcoin goes higher, Robinhood will go higher. Not just because it just trades with Bitcoin, but because of the crypto revenues going up, and the market understands that. Same thing with Coinbase. And so it is what it is. I mean, that was my thesis a long time ago, that it'll work with Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin does what it needs to do, Robinhood will do what it needs to do. And so that's why we're seeing it go up. I still think it's cheap at 13.6 billion minus 6 billion in cash. You're paying 7 billion for the company. and the company's growing 37% year over year. Net deposits are up 44% year over year. So to me, I still think a lot of people that get into it will look at the fundamentals and be like, holy crap, this is still cheap. It's not out of the 2-year depressed cycle it was where it was stuck for $8. And now the longer it was stuck in that cycle, the more violent the breakout will be. CleanSpark as well is up 14% in the pre-markets. 14% in the pre-markets, $23.25. It was up 23% yesterday. So now CleanSpark is up 37% in the past 2 days. Archer says, did you buy the semiconductor ETF? No, I did not, Archer. Did not buy the semi ETF yet. So CleanSpark also is doing crazy. I mean, just look at the crypto part of the left-hand side of my screen. Let's go to this playlist. I mean, it's green across the board. I mean, it's green at an incredible level. Coinbase, 7%. CleanSpark, 14%. Bitcoin, 57%. Ethereum, we didn't even talk about them, 3,200. You got Ethereum on 3,200. By the way, Macy's, I just got a notification from Wall Street Journal. They're closing 150 stores. Macy's is closing 100. We'll look at their earnings in a second. Riot, up 4%. Marathon, 10%. Marathon's $32. Hut, 8%. Iren, 6%. Cypher, 8%. MicroStrategy, up 10 freaking percent, dude. MicroStrategy's $881. Like they got to 1,000 last time on the bull run. They bought 3,000 Bitcoin yesterday. They disclosed. Bitfarms. Remember we had options on Bitfarms at fucking. We bought options at what, $1.60. The Bitfarms is $4. Those options are probably worth like $5,000-$6,000. We sold them for $640. You know? So yeah, like this is a run that is ripping off people's faces, and it's just getting started. In my opinion, Robin at $16.07 right now in the pre-markets as well. So, I mean, it seems like, look, we're in a bull market. And here, let me share you some stats as well. So let me back up some other stats outside of crypto for why I think the market is going higher. And then we will discuss earnings and Palantir. I said options. No. I didn't say options. You heard options. I didn't say options. I said derivatives. I did not say options. For those that are just joining the live stream, I made a declaration this morning. And I'm just going to show you guys the tweet to make sure you guys realize this, that I tweeted this last night. I will no longer be saying options. I am now someone who operates in the derivatives market. It's just that simple. And then this is also what I said. I said, I'm not kidding. I said, I quote tweeted this an hour later. I don't buy or sell options. I operate in the derivatives market. I create hypothetical simulations on how derivatives can result in asymmetric opportunities. And it is what it is. It is what it is. So it's just like this is what we're doing now. I don't say options anymore. I say derivatives. Okay, here's another set of tweets this morning that kind of shows why we're still in a bull market. So take a look at this. This is from JP Morgan. Why is SoundHound up 25% in the pre-market? I don't even know what to say about SoundHound. What thing I did find about last night, here's a quick stat for you guys that's going to be funny. Dan Ives last year said to buy SoundHound. Dan Ives, dude. Guy doesn't miss. He said buy SoundHound. He didn't even know that it was, I guess Wedbush has some pretty good research. There's a video on him on CNBC like a year ago saying SoundHound, we like SoundHound. Well, SoundHound's doing well. So we'll talk about them in a second. All right. So here's some stats. Number one from JP Morgan, equity inflows over the past 5 weeks have totaled $75 billion. This is the highest in 2 years. That's a lot of money. The S&P just cracked $500 billion in total assets. So again, I'm reading these stats because I want not only my mind to be at ease, but I want everyone else's mind to be at ease. If you're thinking this is a bubble, we're going to get rug pulled, yada, 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 we might get a pullback. But I don't think we see equity inflows over the past 5 weeks to be $75 billion if it's some gigantic bubble that's going to pop. I really don't. I think that money's coming in for a reason. And again, we talked about this on Finance Junkies. We're not seeing the ridiculous type of speculation we saw in 2021, which makes me feel more comfortable about this bull market. It makes me feel like you can buy something and it's not just speculative to speculate, right? Like nothing's just going up because you bought it. There are some pockets there like Lunar, but those things are getting corrected. That one's, taking a hit this morning. It's not like NFTs, right? I think it's a little bit different. Inflow to bond funds are $15.2 billion. This week, they were the highest in 13 months and they were broad based. So they hit a bunch of different sectors. And institutions are getting involved. Asset managers continue to have historically elevated long positions across equities and increased exposures to EM and Russell 2000 futures over the past week. They're betting on small caps because they want to get some sector rotation. We'll see if small caps end up taking off. But that is what we're seeing right now. My thesis right now is that small caps are dead money unless there are small caps with a catalyst. So unprofitable companies that need interest rates to come down are not going to do well compared to the large caps. Maybe they will, but I think it's going to be tough. I think you definitely need a catalyst, and the companies that have a catalyst that are small caps, like a Lunar going on the moon, which I don't think is the best catalyst because I feel it's a little bit memey, but it is a catalyst, right? We saw this other company, Hollow. Someone brought it to my attention yesterday. Hollow's up 450%, guys. Hollow it's down 10% in the pre-market. Look at this. I mean, this just doesn't make sense. It's up 448% in the past month. They make holograms, dude. Like, why is this thing up? I don't know. I have no clue. I just have no clue. Now, technically, they're down 47% in the past year, but they spiked to $50 back in September, right? And so it's kind of insane what they're doing right now. They're down 68%. They're down another 10%. But the fact that stuff like that is even happening right now is showing you kind of there's pockets of bubbles. But if you have a catalyst behind you, like a Robinhood with crypto, like a CleanSpark, like a Marathon, right? And you are not a small cap, but you're not as big as a large cap, that's where I think the real momentum is. And I think a lot of money is going to be piled into that trade, because if small caps aren't profitable and not winning, large caps are kind of stretched out. Nvidia already did its thing. I mean, like, really, how much more juice is there left in the coming months? You need to find exposure. Where is the exposure? I think it's small caps that have a catalyst. And those small caps that have a catalyst might end up being a lot of the plays that are in crypto right now. Okay, so real quick, let me take a look at SoundHound. In the pre-market, SoundHound is up 23%. It was up 46% yesterday. SoundHound's $7, dude. We talked about this company. We know what this company is. If you took my advice and you did not buy this company at $3, you missed out on a lot of money because it's $7. So sucks to suck. But no, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you can't chase this type of stuff. There's just too many examples historically of this shit going wrong. So, I mean, if anyone got into it, I'm happy for you. But you could have also chased Lunar. That was down 40% yesterday and down 18% today. It's down 58%. 34 plus 18. Yeah, about 45, 50% in the past, in the past 2 days. So, I mean, like, what could have happened to Lunar could have happened to SoundHound. It's just, you kind of don't know with this type of stuff. You're literally, this to me is actually gambling. This is not derivatives. This is not math. This is like, I mean, again, SoundHound's up because Jensen Huang invested $2 million. There's nothing fundamental that came out about the company. Nothing. It's an Nvidia investment, which is a good thing Nvidia invested, but I don't know if it's worth, being up 90% in a couple of days. So that is something that is up right now as well. Okay, let's do earnings. Let's do earnings. So we got a bunch of earnings. Let's talk about those. And Hims had a great earnings yesterday. That was phenomenal. So shout out to anyone who had Hims. Unity had a horrible earnings. I'm not buying the Unity dip. I thought, hey, maybe there's something there. There's nothing there. Maybe it needs to get even lower, but Unity is in a tough position right now. Okay, Macy's earnings this morning. Their shares are flat. A loss per share of 26 cents. Net sales of $8.1 billion, down 1.7% year over year. Macy's stock right now is down 2%. Nothing too crazy. So net sales of $8.1 billion, down 1.7%. The reason I think Macy's matters is because at the end of the day, they're a retailer. And if their sales are down, then that means retailers are not going to, the state of the consumer is bad, but they're only down 1% year over year. So it doesn't seem like the state of the consumer is necessarily in that that tough of a situation. Okay. Then we have AutoZone, earnings per share, $28.89. It beat expectations of at 26. Revenue, $3.86 billion, beat revenue of $3.85 billion, or expectations of that, with 4.56% year-over-year growth. AutoZone stock is up 4% right now. By the way, AutoZone is a $2,770 stock, so it's up 4%. It's up $114. I'm surprised they don't do a split, but it's a big company. Total company's same store sales increased by 1.5%. Earnings surprise, they achieved 6.4% growth, 17.2% year-over-year. Gross profit margin up 160 basis points. International performance 23.9% sales growth. Inventory growth reported 4.2% inventory growth. I mean, they opened 26 new stores, 19 in the US, a bunch international, 7,000 stores worldwide. They had a pretty good earnings. I don't follow this company that deeply, but they're up 4%. And again, the only thing you need to take away as someone who's like trying to figure out what's going on in the market is that are these retailers at least showing that they're not dead? And as long as that's the case, that means the consumer is not in a horrible situation, which is the most important thing. Okay, and then Lowe's, let's do this last one. Lowe's beat EPS 177 by about 10 cents. Revenue $18.6 billion, beat by $18.4 billion. Let me know if you shop at Lowe's. If there's a Lowe's near you. Lowe's and Home Depot are pretty big near me in New Jersey. Lowe's right now is down about 2% in the pre-market. Nothing too crazy. So three of the big retailers today, AutoZone, Macy's, and Lowe's, either they were up They were flat, they were slightly down, but they didn't show anything dramatic in the earnings to cause a 15% decline, a 10% decline, a decline that says, hey, people aren't buying products anymore. We can't get people to come to the store. Like, they're okay. Which again, if you're just concerned about, is this market going to just collapse? The earnings we got yesterday from the majority of companies and today have been good. In fact, the earnings we've got in this entire earnings season have been phenomenal. Unity, that missed on their revenue, that's not really the entire market, right? Unity is like, they've got a whole host of issues. They have ridiculous stock-based compensation. That's just a mismanagement company. But a company like Hims that is able to grow 87% year over year for selling like men's health products, it's just the e-commerce business, and for them to be GAAP profitable, it speaks to the stellar management at that company to be able to figure that out. But it also speaks to the fact that they had enough revenue growth because there were enough people buying their stuff, which means there's enough attitude and sentiment in the broader ecosystem for people to actually buy on and spend on these different companies. So I think all those earnings also showed that things are going good in the broader market. CleanSpark up 13%, Coinbase up 6.4%, Hims is up 19%. Look at that. Shout out to the Hims holders. You deserve 19%. That's absolutely incredible. KRE regional banks are up just a little bit. Robinhood 1596 in the pre-markets. It seems like the broader equity markets have enough momentum in them, fueled by earnings growth, fueled by AI, and fueled by companies that are putting up numbers, which even if they're not phenomenal, they're good enough to say, hey, this thing doesn't deserve to, go back to 3,800 on the S&P. And as a result of that, we're seeing momentum. Look at Palo Alto Networks, guys. Look at Palo Alto Networks. A lot of you say you shop at Lowe's. Okay, cool. So it's not just me. Lowe's and Home Depot is big in New Jersey. Palo Alto Networks is $317. This is hilarious, dude. For those that don't know, Nancy Pelosi bought into Palo Alto like 2 days ago. She bought $200 in the money call contracts, deep in the money, a little bit cheaper than her buying stock. Expired January 2025. The thing fell 30% last. It basically now it hasn't fallen 30%. It fell. What's this thing? PANW. Now over the past month, it only fell. Dude, look at this chart, dude. This thing fell only 7% in the past month. It was down 30%. Now it's down 7%. So it's recovered 23% of their losses. And because of two reasons. Number one, NVIDIA put up the numbers, right? Which is great. So, I mean, and it's still up 8% year to date. NVIDIA showed that. Here's the thing, dude. One, NVIDIA showed that growth is good. And then obviously Nancy Pelosi bought it, and then people followed her into it. It was up 10% yesterday, 4% today. I think NVIDIA, and I talked about this yesterday, NVIDIA earnings were probably the most important day in the history of the United States. Okay, I'm being hyperbolic here, but you get my point. Like, if they didn't show earnings, this massive run we've been having for the past 2 years, really since like the beginning of 2023, it would have collapsed because the market would have been like, well, if the in the words of Dan Ives, the grandfather of AI can't put up the numbers, then why should we expect Palantir to put up the numbers? Why should we expect, a company that's using why should we expect a company that's using AI to be more effective if NVIDIA can't even be more effective? NVIDIA putting up those numbers, by the way, without China as the revenue, we talked about that yesterday, 25% of the revenue went to 1% from China last quarter. Imagine they would have beat by like 4 billion or 3 billion instead of 2 billion if they had Chinese revenue come in. That set the tone for the market feeling this is a 1995 industrial revolution. And if that's the case, I don't know if we can be saying, all right, a pullback's coming. Like, yeah, we'll probably get a correction, but I don't know if we could be like, oh my God, things are going to be so sad, like there's some massive rug pull coming. Like the bears have to really make a better argument than, things have gone up, because in a bull cycle, things can keep going up. And if people want to buy, people will buy. Money is abundant. There's still $6 trillion on the sidelines, and there's numbers supporting the momentum with these earnings. So I think, yeah, this is not 2000. This might be 1995. And that's not me saying that, that's something that Dan Ives has been saying. I'm starting to think he's right because the numbers are proving it, dude. What company has had horrible earnings? Even Google, I know their stock's down, but they didn't have horrible earnings. They had phenomenal earnings. It's just, their business is changing a little bit. So I don't know. I've asked this question over the past couple of days. No one's been able to give me a good answer. What company is egregiously overvalued right now in the stock market? Like it is so overvalued, you can't comprehend it. Don't say ARM. They only have 99 million shares. That's an anomaly. Don't say Lunar or SoundHound. These, I think, are little meme stock frenzies that eventually, we've seen Lunar have faded away. What's a real company that's just so like the PE is 90 and the growth is like 10% or something? I just can't find that many of them. I really can't. Oh, so SoFi, real quick, let me talk about them, and then I want to talk about Palantir because we have some news on Palantir. SoFi is up as well. They've had a hell of a day, 873. I was thinking about the $20 Derivative for January 2026. Not the option, not the leap. I was thinking of the derivative for January 2026. But I think $20 is a little bit tough, dude. I mean, now granted, I think SoFi is going to explode one day. I don't know when the hell it's going to be. And $20 might not be that crazy. But that's what I was thinking in the Roth. Maybe we get some of those $20 options. We'll see. Maybe that's good. Maybe it's not. SoFi could break $9 if it keeps going. But the problem with SoFi is it has to maintain that level. So we'll see if it can do it. But right now that's up about 2%. The pre-market up 4% yesterday. So really good for SoFi. Someone says Palantir is overvalued. Okay, so let's transition to Palantir. Well, here's my thing. I do not think Palantir is overvalued, dude. I mean, I've done some more DCFs. I've done some more models. I've talked to some friends who are more numbers based and they've done DCFs. Like if you just increase, like here's the way to easily say Palantir is undervalued. If you there's one stat, that's it. You just have to change one metric in the DCF and Palantir becomes ridiculously undervalued. If you increase the government allocation of spend from the DoD to defense spending and then just increase Palantir's allocation to getting some of that spend by like, I think he did it by like 0.89% or something like that. The fair value of the stock is $21. So 24, 21, like it's not that big of a deal, right? So the idea that Palantir was this massively overvalued company that's just diluting and all this stuff, I think those fears have started to go away. I mean, think about it like this. All the equity analysts have a price target of at least $18 to $24. There's only one guy in the country, Rishi, who still has a $5 price target. And then JP Morgan has a $12 price target. I think JP Morgan just wants more shares. So to me, it's like, well, wait a second. If all the analysts are saying, yeah, 20 to 22 is fair value, and then if you do some DCFs and you just increase government spending and government spending starts to go up, which it will go up, that's what Shyam Sankar, these guys have been tweeting about for a while, then it's not overvalued. I don't think it's massively overvalued at all. It might be a little stretched, but I don't know if it's ridiculously overvalued to the point where this is a $45 in January 2021 type of Palantir. I don't think that's the case. Okay, so some news on Palantir. So they got 1.8 million shares yesterday in a company called Surf Air Mobility. Okay, Surf Air Mobility. They now have 5.2 million shares. This was an SEC filing that came out last night. This company went public in July, so this is not a SPAC. Some people are saying, "Oh, this is a SPAC deal." It's not. It can't be a SPAC. This company went public in July. So, why did they get this money? Well, so if we read from here, it says the reporting person, Palantir, held 5.2 million shares as of February 15th, including 1.8 million shares of common stock received on February 15th as payment for certain outstanding receivables. So it seems like they bartered AIP with shares of Surf Air Mobility. So to me, it seems like, they gave them a pilot of AIP. The pilot of AIP was working. And if a company is willing to give up their equity to continue using a software, then that software might be really important to their business. And now this stock, Surf Air Mobility, is up 16% in the pre-markets. I don't know why it's up. My guess is that Palantir, people are excited that Palantir bought into it, but Palantir doesn't really have that effect. Yeah, it's up 20% in the pre-market. It was up 7% yesterday. Palantir doesn't really have the effect of investing in something and it goes up. We've seen that with the SPAC era, that actually the opposite happens. So it was really interesting to me to see that Surf Air Mobility is up. I mean, maybe Palantir's stock has gone up so much that there's more people that know about Palantir, and as a result of that, they're willing to follow the company into the investments they make. I mean, which is literally what's happening with SoundHound and NVIDIA, right? Bunch of NVIDIA investors, they follow into SoundHound because Jensen touched it. If people are thinking, well, Alex Karp believes in this shit, which I don't really know if he does or not. I think they just needed some payment for AIP. Then boom, there you go. That's how you get some momentum there. Now, what is this company? Look at this, Surf Air Mobility. Here's an interesting correlation. Surf Air Mobility seems very similar to Lilium, right? So Lilium, which I don't think Palantir owns a stake in anymore, was a eVTOL electric air company in terms of like flying private jets through electric air. And these guys are doing the same thing. So one of the reasons Palantir might have taken equity from them is because they've already worked with Lilium. And even though they don't work with them anymore in terms of own their stock, they know the space really well. They think Foundry AIP can have a really unique sort of integration here. They kind of think there's a penetration to be made in this broader ecosystem, this broader sector. And so they're like, you know what? We've worked with companies like this before. We did a ton of due diligence with Lilium. We know how to offer software that can help you guys. And so, we'll accept your stock for payment because we know that you guys will literally use our product because Lilium did the same thing. So Surf Air has a $78 million market cap. That is correct. So it's a very small company, very, very small company. And it just got a lot of exposure today I mean, I'm talking about it, right? Because Palantir invested in them. So I think across the world, a lot of people, um, I just got a text from my girlfriend when I said the word penetration live, and she just texted me something very interesting about that word. So thanks, babe. That's you messed me you messed up my my job here, but it's that's a good joke. I'm teaching her how to be funny. She knows how to be funny now, so she's anyway, I think Lilium gave them the clarity to maybe make this not investment, get this equity. And that's why they're working with Surf Air. Now, look, the Jets don't look as pretty. They look kind of ugly. I'm not gonna lie. Like Lilium looks sexy. These things look like they're from 1945. They look like the Wright brothers fucking built this shit, dude. Like they don't look that exciting. But Surf Air, it's up, and it's up because of Palantir. So that's the update. That's the update on Palantir. Wow, Matt said ChatGPT can text you now. That is so mean. ChatGPT doesn't text someone who operates in the derivatives market. Okay. ChatGPT doesn't work with someone who operates with derivatives. So just remember that next time you make a joke about someone who's working in the derivatives market. Okay. Let's talk Tesla. Tesla. Folks, Tesla is $204 in the pre-markets. There you go. $204.70. And why is Tesla up? I think there's a couple of reasons. First of all, who bought the dip at a 182? Who bought the dip at 182? Put it in the chat. Who bought the dip at 180? Because it seems like that was the dip, quite frankly. It seems like now if you want Tesla, you got to scoff up another $20. You're not getting Tesla that cheap. But Tesla now is at 200. I think there's a couple of reasons. Number one, Li Auto had earnings yesterday, and those earnings were really good. And so that was really good for Tesla because it just proves EV demand is doing very well. Another announcement here today: Tesla Model Y secured the 2024 IIHS top safety pick. Plus, they award despite tougher metrics. I don't know if that's the reason the stock is up 4%, but that's definitely good news for Tesla, right? Just like good publicity. And on top of that, I think the broader markets are thinking, well, maybe we should be a little bit more risk on right now. If, things are changing, Nvidia's showing that they're doing well. Elon maybe potentially resolving this compensation issue, which has been an issue for like the past month now. If that gets resolved, markets risk on, and you got other company earnings that are doing pretty well, like Li Auto in China that are showing earnings is fine and demand is great. They were up 15% yesterday. And lithium down 80% year over year. Lithium's important. You need batteries. I mean, you need lithium inside of the batteries. You need batteries inside of the Tesla. Your raw costs go down. Maybe those operating margins are going to grow up. Maybe the gross margins have bottomed, and maybe the guidance for the volume will actually not be as bad as people think it is. And then boom, that's your bull case. Also, you guys know how deep I'm getting into robotics now. I mean, look, I don't think it's up for 4% because of robotics, but I mean, I think you can't argue with the fact that if Jeff Bezos, Nvidia, OpenAI, Microsoft, Samsung, and Intel invested in a startup called Figure.ai, which, by the way, they have a new video. I want to show you guys the new video they put out yesterday. I think the market's like, okay, so hold on. $500 million went into a startup that doesn't make any money, right? Figure. Okay. So if that's the case, that means the market's thinking that there is a massive opportunity. Nvidia, Microsoft, Jeff Bezos, all these guys are thinking there's a massive opportunity. On top of that, Jensen Huang, a couple of days ago, he made in a Wired magazine interview, he said, if we can do what we're doing with text and video in regards to training models, and then the text is spitting out text, and the video, like OpenAI Sora, is creating brand new video, the next evolution, word for word, he said this, is robots and robotics, which is why Nvidia invested in Figure, which is a $2 billion company that just raised $675 million. So Jensen's argument is like, well, if we can train ChatGPT and OpenAI to like spit out all this content, why can't we just take those same models and then put them into robots, and then they do movement instead of like text on screen or video on screen? Logically, that makes sense. Now, is it going to be hard? It's going to be very hard. But I think the market, and I don't think this is why Tesla's up 4%, but I think the market is starting to appreciate Optimus a little bit more, because when an unknown startup raises $675 million by the biggest people in the world, Jeff Bezos put in $100 million himself, maybe the market's like, we should look at Optimus a little bit more. And so it seems like that's what's happening, in my opinion, in regards to how the market is thinking about about robotics. Here's the newest video with Figure. So they put this out yesterday. We can watch this here. The speed versus human is 16.7%. So it's at 16% of what a typical human can do, which is amazing for a company that's like 2 years old. This is so cool, dude. First of all, I love that song, dude. That was such good music behind it. That's like great music behind this thing as you're showing this. Anyone who's making fun of this in the chat, I know it's funny to make fun of it, but you've got to admire the fact that a company is trying to figure out how to automate some of the most, horrific tasks that humans have to do in factories where there's a massive labor shortage. We have like this, we don't have enough people to do these jobs, and the thing's actually fucking doing it, dude. Yeah, it's super slow. Yeah, it's attached by a line, right? And it's trying to do it effectively. But like, this is all autonomous. They're not controlling it. It figured out how to operate as a human being, and it's doing it. I mean, it is just astonishing, dude. Like, it is the cutting edge of a brand new industry. It is absolutely, it's phenomenal to me. I see this and I think innovation. I think American dynamism. I think like in inspiration, motivation. I look at this, that a company built this in 2 years, and it's incredible. Now, for all the people saying that this is going to replace jobs, I think a lot of people have to do more research on what's going on in the broader labor markets. Labor shortage is an issue. If you talk to these companies, so Figure, for example, they have a deal with BMW. That's publicly announced. And BMW does not want to put human beings in some of these factories making cars because it's very intense work. There's a lot of injuries. A lot of people, there's 150% churn rate. People leave because they don't want to stay at that place, right? It's like a tough life. If we could allow humans to not have to do those types of jobs and have robots automate it, not only is it going to make massive amounts of money and economic prosperity and all this stuff, humans will have other things to do. Now, granted, if you're a human that doesn't know how to do a lot of other things and you only know manual labor and that's been replaced, what are you going to do? I think that's a different question for a different day. We got to figure that out. Maybe the government has to get involved. Maybe you tax the crap out of these robot companies to be able to figure out how to pay for these. Like, we'll figure that out. But you don't stop innovation. You don't stop technological progress, right? And it's the same like Uber with taxis, right? Like, you're not going to stop Uber just because the taxi model has existed. Like, yeah, it replaced taxi drivers, but it also created an entire new business model. I think these robots will create entire new business models for humans to operate as well. And it's super exciting to see them operate. And so that's some of the momentum we're seeing right now. And I think that's also why the market's giving Tesla a little bit of love in terms of how they think, the bot should be appreciated in a different sense. Let's get a little bit of an update on Bitcoin from Anthony Scaramucci. We got about a couple minutes till the market opens. Let's hear his take on it. Bitcoin right now, 57,000 on the day.
Anthony Scaramucci, founder and managing partner of Skybridge Capital. It's great to have you on the broadcast this morning, Anthony. Let's just take on the Jamie Dimon comments first. I'm so curious what your reaction was to that.
Listen, Andrew, he's one of the smartest people in financial services, if not the smartest. So I enjoy listening to him, and I always try to factor in what he's saying. The economy does feel very strong. I don't see how the Fed, though, doesn't cut rates eventually because of the deficit spending problem that the U.S. is facing. And I think those rate cuts will save the economy from going into recession. But, Jamie's a very smart guy. He's smarter than me. And so I always listen to him. Of course, I'm at intellectual odds with him related to Bitcoin. But listen, anytime he speaks, I listen. He's one of the few people, including yourself, that I have on my Google alert.
God bless you. Well, let me ask you this. You just mentioned Bitcoin. He is at odds with you on that subject. I'm not going to say he's been right about Bitcoin. He's probably been wrong about Bitcoin. He might have been right about actually the economy thus far, because he did say that he didn't think there were going to be interest rate cuts coming so quickly. And on that score, he has been 100% correct. On Bitcoin, he's been a lot less correct. We're looking at $56,925 on Bitcoin. We're now, what, about a month and a half, 2 months after these exchange-traded funds have been up and running and approved. Sort of walk through the math of where you think this all goes.
Well, I mean, the first thing I would say, though, and, because I know Jamie does listen to your show, hopefully he catches this segment, I would just ask him to please do more homework, because people like Paul Tudor Jones or Stan Druckenmiller or somebody like Larry Fink, who's actually done the homework, were perhaps negative on Bitcoin prior to doing the homework. Andrew, it's a one-way ticket towards Bitcoin if you actually do the homework to fully understand the asset. But specifically, if you look at the last 14 years, you usually get a quadruple after a halving. And so Bitcoin right now is trading 57,000. I'm not sure where it'll be on or about April 20th when the halving actually takes place. But let's say it's at 50,000. That would imply over 18 months from the halving, a $200,000 Bitcoin price. So the price is going up primarily because there's not a lot of supply out there.
And when he says that quadruple, he's not pulling that number out of his ass. If you look at historically, when the halving happens, that's what happens. Now, it does have a retracement, but the point is, like, we aren't really anywhere near where this thing could go.
And yet you're seeing these Bitcoin ETFs coming into the marketplace with 12 to 14 times what's available in terms of what the network is producing every single day. And so that's why you're seeing this price squeeze. And of course, you do have people that don't believe in Bitcoin that are short Bitcoin. And so they're getting wrecked right now. And I think that's the combination of why you're seeing such great price appreciation.
We were talking to Mike Novogratz.
All right, folks. It's going to be pretty exciting to see how this thing plays out. I don't know if there's a rug pull coming. Again, we did the analysis here in the morning. For a rug pull to happen on Bitcoin, there would have to be a massive amount of selling. And my question is, if the ETFs we saw today bought 294,000 Bitcoin in the past 30 days, they're not selling those unless people sell the ETFs. And the people that are buying the ETFs are not people that are speculating. They're pension funds, right? Like these are institutions that are buying the ETFs to hold it for a while. So if that's the case, dude, like, I don't know where the sell-off comes from. Yeah, people will take profits. There's probably people that have been holding this thing since 5,000. They're like, you know what? I'm up $1 trillion. I'm going to take my profits. Yeah, that'll happen. But the funny thing is 90% of the people that I was looking at the stat that have bought a long time ago, they're holding it because they genuinely believe in it. So they're not giving it up. They really do see this thing going to 1 million. And I mean, if there's only 21 million of them and the demand gets that high over the next 10, 15 years, you never know. So if that's the case, I think we're seeing a supply shock and we're seeing a lot more demand. And as a result of that, a lot of these crypto companies that are associated with Bitcoin will also do well, like a Robinhood. All right, folks, we got 30 seconds. We are here. We're alive. It is February 27th. In the last 28 seconds before the market opens, I just want to say I love all of you. Thank you for being here. You make this the greatest thing to do every single day. I wake up and this is my dream, dude. So thank you all for being here. It makes me happy beyond imagination. It is the coolest thing in the world to be with you on the good days and the bad days. And we're here. We're all trying to figure out how we can better improve our lives by engaging in the financial equity and derivatives markets. And those markets are now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Bitcoin, 56,967. So we got Bitcoin just below that 57,000 level. Palantir, 2378.87%. That's up on the day. Surf Air Mobility, the company that Palantir invested in, is now up 17% because of what seems like Palantir's investment. 18.87%, $1.26. Now, $92 million market cap. It was a $70 million market cap a day ago. Obviously, Palantir got them that exposure. SoFi up 2.2%, 873. Lowe's up about 0.48%, 232. AutoZone up 4%. They're up to $122. Stock is 2,893. Macy's is up 2%. Macy's was actually negative, so they flipped to being positive. Again, retailers showing the state of the consumer. is not in a horrible position. CleanSpark up 11%. Coinbase $201. They are up today as well. PayPal $59.67. Hims is up 20% off of a stellar earnings, 48% subscriber growth year over year, 87% revenue growth, and then they are now GAAP profitable by 1 penny. Robinhood $15.94, up 2.24% on the day. So they are up as well, 2.37%. Look at Palantir. 2.3%. Palantir, $24. Palantir broke through $24 a couple days ago. Then it got hit with just the broader market. Then NVIDIA did well. Then it did well. Then it came down. Now at 24, it looks like it wants 24. There's demand for the stock. Volume is at 3.8 million. Volume has died off since earnings. I mean, that it's just volume right now would be like 12 million if it was a week ago. But there is enough people that are holding this thing that you might not need that much volume to get it to stay at these levels, because now people are just holding the stock. Rivian's up 2%, folks. Rivian's up. It bottomed at 10.07. Now it's at 10.91. ARK, $50. I think they're up because of Coinbase. Coinbase is above $200. Tesla, 2.38, 204 for Tesla. Ethereum, 3,264. This thing was 2,600 like 7 days ago. So this thing is up as well. Taiwan Semi, 131. S&P, 506, maintaining above the 500 level. Square, 75. That's up 1%. It was down a little bit yesterday. QQQ, 437. Carvana, that's up 4%. They were up 42% on earnings. Look at Mag 7. So Mag 7's actually down. Nvidia's up, Tesla's up. Nvidia's basically flat. Google's basically flat. Microsoft and Meta and Amazon are down. So this might be a little bit of rotation. Now Apple's red. A little bit of rotation from these big companies that have done very well. Now Nvidia's red to some of the smaller names. Google being one of the names that has been sold off. And then Tesla obviously has been bad over the past month. So it's getting some exposure there. Let's go to the crypto stocks. Crypto. Wow. Oh my God. Robinhood 16.15. Oh my God. Oh boy. That's up. That's up right now. That's up. Robinhood is up. Robinhood is indeed up. 16.21 right now in Robinhood. It's up 4%. 16.22. That's green. Riot is up 4%. CleanSpark up another 12%, dude. Holy crap, dude. CleanSpark, $22.98. Coinbase is up 6%. Bitfarms up 5%. MicroStrategy up 7%. Iren up 4%. Robinhood $16.23. Last night, there was 100,000 shares at Robinhood on the wall. I'm going to look at their thing right now. Right now, Robinhood, the wall is at... Oh, it's really not there. The next big wall is at look at 17. There's only 38,000 shares, dude. There's not a big wall. Most of those walls have disappeared. I mean, if this thing keeps running, it can definitely make a run. It can keep. Also, if you look at the technicals, it's 17 is where the volume shelves. There's not that much volume above those shelves. So 17 is the real level it has to get to, and then we take off. But the fact that we were at 16.14, the stock was at 14 last week. That's pretty incredible. Bitcoin above 57,000. Riot's up 4%. Marathon $32, up 10% on the day. Oh my gosh. Where's Palantir? Let's go back to Palantir. Wow. 24.37, up 3%. Oh, by the way, we have to buy $500 worth of Palantir in the public account today. Derek gave us a $500 super chat. It probably doesn't make sense to buy at 24.37, but we're probably just gonna have to buy it anyway because it's the public account. But there you go. Palantir 24.38, up 3.46% on the day. And look, Nvidia is actually not up. So I mean, Nvidia's like it's up 0.3%. I think the market gave Nvidia their run. Nvidia now for the last month is up how much? How much is Nvidia? For the last 3 months, it's up 60%. For the last month, it's up 28%. And year to date, it's up 61%. I think the market's finally like, all right, we'll relax on Nvidia. We gave it a ton of love. And now let's see what else, what other juice is there left in the market. And, maybe that's why we're getting some rotation in something like a Palantir. Surfer Mobility up 19%. Where's SoundHound? SoundHound. Wow. These guys are up 17%. These guys are up 17%. Kelly says, if this thing keeps running, it's definitely going to run. We tune in for this high-level analysis. Well, in the derivatives market, we talk... Actually, you know what my answer is to that, Kelly? You said if this thing keeps running, it's definitely going to run. You should know about running. Because you run through my mind all day. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. This is what happens when you're a derivatives trader. You know how to work with your words. All right, Bitcoin 57,171, KRE 4789, Robinhood 1606, Bumble at $12. SMCI is down 2.7%. SMCI is actually down 2.7%. We're seeing a little bit of a rotation, folks. ELF at 200, Rivian 1076. Oh my God, the comments. It was good. It was good, guys. It was good. Like, don't hate. It's okay. You didn't think of it, but it was good. Google 138, Instacart 3151, TQQQ 5988. Okay, so we looked at Lowe's already. Lowe's is at 230. SoFi, wow, 884. SoFi, wow, up 3%. Holy crap. SoFi 885. That is, oh my God, CleanSpark 23. CleanSpark is up 13.7%. Dude, this is kind of incredible. This is absolutely incredible. Robinhood 1615. It's not stopping, folks. If this thing runs, it's going to keep running. Okay, we're getting that on a fucking t-shirt one day. If this thing runs, it's going to keep running. Bitcoin 57,256. If Bitcoin makes a play at 58, if somehow that happens, Robinhood and CleanSpark aren't done. I mean, these things are going to keep going. Where's HIMS? HIMS is up 15%. HIMS is up 15%. Danger says HIMS is pulling out. Oh my God. Where's PayPal? Is PayPal running? Wow. Wow, Broccoli. You said look at PayPal in the chat, and I pulled up PayPal, and I actually thought you said it in all caps, and I thought, okay, so PayPal's fine. How is PayPal not moving? The market is just incredible. It's running, and you've got Nvidia's down, by the way. Nvidia's down almost 1%. And PayPal, it just can't move. The volume is 600,000 shares. How does 600,000 shares not move this thing like a penny, dude? It's insane. Absolutely insane. The stock is just stuck. I was talking to a guy last night who has a hefty position in PayPal. It was on a Zoom meeting, and we were talking about a bunch of things about the stock market. And he said, dude, I'm like loaded up the ass with PayPal. Like, I just like, this thing is stupid undervalued. He has a big position, but the thing's not moving. It's just not moving. Truist is up a little bit. SMH, that ETF we talked about at 210. And then we got SoFi at 886. There you go. IWM. Wow. Russell's up. Look at Bitcoin, 57.3. Russell's also up almost 1%, 203. Wow. Dude, that is incredible. Robinhood right now, 16.16. 16.16 on Robinhood. 16.16 on Robinhood. So here are the options on Robinhood. So this is the main position. We are up 160%. We are up $43,000 on this option. And this expires in 2026. So we've already taken our profits. We're going to just let it run. I mean, at this point, we just let it run. It's up 145%. Robin is just getting started. And quite frankly, if Bitcoin keeps running, this is going to keep running. And so we're just letting it go. So that's up right now, 147%. Up about 40 grand right now on that. HIMS is at 1187. Yep. HIMS was at 12 yesterday in the pre-markets or after hours. So HIMS will continue to probably do well. So there you go. HIMS is up. HIMS is up as well. HIMS 1219. Oh, wow. HIMS is up 12. Oh, sorry. It's past 1187. It's past 12 now. It's past 12. S&P is down. Really? Oh, wow. Okay, so I think we're actually seeing a rotation. Robinhood now 1620. I think we're actually seeing a rotation, guys. Like, if the S&P is down and Nvidia is down, people are taking their money out of large cap and they're throwing it into shit that they think actually has momentum now. This might be, I mean, look, I know the S&P is barely down. It's basically flat, but I'm just saying in general, this is what we all expected would eventually happen. And the S&P has run a lot. Maybe this is what happens. Maybe this is what really happens. Raj says my average Nvidia is 512. Not going to sell until it falls back to like 600 or something. Well, if it falls back to 600, Raj, I wouldn't sell. I'd fucking buy more if it falls to 600. If your average is 512, that's a great average. If it falls to 600, dude, Nvidia's not stopping. We've done enough analysis on Nvidia. If you get Nvidia at 600, I think it's a gift at this point. Like Nvidia at 600 would be a PE of 15. Like That a company growing triple digits at a PE of 15 is it doesn't make sense. That's why Nvidia's at 778, because even right now you could say it's undervalued because the PE is at 35. So it's pretty okay. ARM. Okay, what's on ARM? Wow, ARM's down 3%. Well, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, we knew yesterday it went up 10%. Archer says ARMS is down. Let's go for my put derivatives. Well, yes, if you have some put derivatives on this, we're not saying put options. We're saying put derivatives. That is the rule on this channel. We don't say the word options anymore. We are sophisticated hypothetical simulators of how the derivatives market can result in asymmetric opportunities to the upside or the downside. We say derivatives now. If you've got puts on ARM, I don't think that's the worst idea in the world, because this thing is actually overvalued, because the shares are going to get dumped in the market eventually by SoftBank. But I mean, it's so funny that people aren't selling ARM. Like, I think people that bought ARM FOMO'd into it, and they don't know that SoftBank has 92% of shares they're waiting to one day unload onto the market, which is going to dilute the crap out of it. Like, I don't think they know that. I think they just got into it because it's AI. And so if you don't know that, it is what it is. If you don't know, then it might be in a, you might eventually be in a tough situation. But we'll see. I mean, maybe it holds up even if it gets that dilution, because it doesn't happen all at the same time, and ARM continues to do well. They're a very important company in the AI space. Their growth is just not there like Nvidia. Bay Ray says he wrote covered calls on Palantir just now. Okay. CLSK, where's CleanSpark? This is 22.94, up 12%. Where's MicroStrategy? MicroStrategy is at 8% up, 863. And where's Coinbase 206, dude. We haven't seen Coinbase up in 2 years above 200. We haven't seen Coinbase up above 200 in 2 years, man. Like, Eric says the money coming out of the S&P has to go somewhere. Bitcoin is probably benefiting from this. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, dude. The money coming out of the S&P, if people are selling it off a little bit, look at Bitcoin. It seems like Bitcoin went from 50 to 57 in 2 weeks. The money's coming from somewhere. Obviously coming from the ETFs, not really coming from retail yet. CleanSpark now 23, might be coming out of large cap. Max 7 is all red except Google and Meta and Tesla. And even those guys are selling off a little bit right now. And Google probably has to be green because, I mean, it's got so beaten up. But if they don't have any, changes in the broader company, maybe that continues to happen. Apple's been stuck at 180. Apple's been a very boring stock. If you've been at Apple and 180, it is what it is. But I mean, it's at $180. Market's really not that excited. I do think their AI innovations in the iPhone will be exciting, but it's not enough to get the market super interested right now at a 30 PE. Suchv says Tesla could be the next Nvidia software and bots. Pretty sure they're attempting to manufacture chips in outer space to buy a company that proposed for it. Look, I think Tesla can definitely become Nvidia's $2 trillion. I think Tesla can get to $2 trillion. I just think right now it's a car business more than it is anything else, and the market's not ready to give it the premium for being a bot business, which I think is worth many, many trillions, quite frankly. I mean, dude, the bots can produce hundreds of billions in net income. Forget revenue. So, like, yeah, it can get up there, but if you buy Tesla, I think it's a long-term thesis on the bots, and the car business will eventually work itself out, and then maybe FSD and robotaxis happen, because I mean, they will happen, but it will take a while, in my opinion. But for the people thinking that's going to happen tomorrow, it's like, that's not happening anytime tomorrow. Amit, are you still waiting for 175 on Tesla? Can't imagine it's getting there. I mean, look, we'll see. If this thing stays at 200, then yeah, we fucking buy it at 2. At this point, I'm so convinced on bots. And I will tell you guys why in a couple weeks, but like, I've been doing a lot more research. Robinhood 1614. I am so convinced on bots that it's kind of insane. And so I just don't know, dude. I don't really care. I don't care about the car. I'm like Steve. I know Steve said this a couple weeks ago. Steve said he's only buying Tesla for the bots. And I was like, whatever, it's the bots. I started doing some research. Nah, dude, it's the bots. The bots are what matter. Like, the bots are the only thing that really matters. The cars matter, but the bots are where the money is. And I think Elon knows this, dude. That's why he's been stressing the bot so much over the past year and a half. He's like, you guys don't get it. This bot is different. The bots is desperation. I disagree, dude. I fundamentally disagree. I do not think it's about, I will start doing more. I will start showing you guys my DD that I've been doing on bots, and in a couple weeks. I don't think it's desperation, dude. I think there's going to be a couple winners. Tesla's going to be one of them, and it's going to be big. Amit has a secret bot. Yes, I have a secret bot. Okay, so we looked at Bitcoin. What else is happening that's really important? We looked at the major earnings. Oh, where's Unity? Where's Unity from yesterday? Where's Unity? Unity. Unity's down 10%. I thought it'd be down more. Okay, so the problem with Unity is their guidance, right? The street thought Unity would put up 2.2 billion in revenue next year. They're putting up 1.71. They horribly missed on guidance. The street wanted like 613 million. They put up 500. They missed by like 113 million. EPS, they're still not profitable, and their stock-based compensation is almost 30% of revenues. $12 billion company, basically a duopoly with Unreal Engine in the gaming space, partnership with Apple on spatial computing. Is it cheap? Not really. Is the market cap small? Kind of. Is the company fundamentals there, given the CEO resigned in the summer because of that ridiculous policy they passed with developers? I don't feel comfortable holding their stock. I don't know enough about them. And I just don't feel comfortable holding. I got a lot of DMs yesterday from people that are like, dude, Unity is a train wreck. And there's a lot of research to look into. So I don't know if this is the dip buy. This thing might just go up because the market goes up, but I don't know if this is something you want to hold long-term and be happy about holding. So we'll see. But this one it was down 19% after market yesterday. Yeah, that's true. And so this one's now down 9% here on the day, but not super excited about Unity. Amit, have you talked about SoFi and then working with a top 5 bank? I'm going to watch Tanner's video on it after this. Yeah. So apparently SoFi came out and they're working with a top 5 bank. Let me actually pull that tweet up. Tanner covered this really well yesterday. And they had a conference. By the way, Robinhood will have a conference on March 4th. I'll be streaming that live on the channel at the JP Morgan's technology thing. But there is a new partnership that SoFi is working on with a top 5 bank. I can't find the actual tweet, but with a top 5 bank, and most people are speculating it's Citibank, and it's for the tech platform. It's for Galileo and Technisys. So the idea is if they've completed a proof of concept with a top 5 bank to be able to implement their AWS of fintech software inside of, and those top banks don't, want to build that type of software because it's very hard to do. That's why SoFi bought it for $1 billion back in April of 2020. Then if that works and they get, let's say Citibank, and then maybe they get Wells Fargo, and then maybe they get Bank of America, you're looking at SaaS margins on a tech product coming from a bank. That's my bull case. That's always been my bull case for SoFi. So, I mean, that's why I think the market's kind of excited as well, based on that conference, up 3% now. And now it's just a question to see, how this ends up playing out. But it does seem like the market is giving, SoFi some momentum because they've been able to kind of show that proof of concept there. So we'll see in the next couple in earnings on March and May what they're end up going to be seeing. PayPal hit 60. Oh my God. PayPal, we have to celebrate for that. Look at that. Well, no, it's not. It's still down 20 cents. But it did hit 60, which is nice. $59.79. PayPal maybe will be up 1% today. Maybe. Just maybe. PayPal might be up 1%. Maybe. Palantir now down below 24, 23.97. Surf Air, that company that Palantir got shares in yesterday, they're up 18%. IWM 202. Bumble, they have earnings soon. They're up $13. This is a dating app. The premise of this app is that girls can message first, not guys. But the CEO and founder, who's a girl, left the company 3 months ago. So I don't know how their earnings are going to be. SMCI down about 4.4%. Wow, HIM's at 13. Wow, HIM's at 13. It's up 30 freaking percent, dude. Congrats to HIM shareholders. I mean, that's a hell of a job, dude. Up 30%. And they deserve it, by the way. This is not meme stock, anything. They deserve it. When you get gap profitable and when you're gap profitable like a Palantir, like a Robinhood, in this economic environment with interest rates being that high, you deserve the love from the market because so many companies are not profitable. They're just not. Where's Sound? 27%. Oh my God. Let me see if I can find the clip of Dan Ives talking about SoundHound. I want to see Dan Ives, SoundHound. Let's see if we can find him talking about it. Okay, no, so I don't have the video, but we have some videos where he mentioned SoundHound, but not like a video exclusively on SoundHound. So the point is he definitely has talked about it before. I know that. It's just a question of like, he wasn't overly optimistic about it, but he did mention that it's a player, and now they got the NVIDIA Touch, and they're seeming to do well. They're seeming to do okay. All right, let's take a look at some analysis here on if AI is actually in a bubble. Let's watch this clip and then we'll be back, and I want to get some more coverage on Bitcoin. Here we go.
Leadoff panel tonight, joining us, Hightower, Chief Investment Strategist, CNBC contributor and star, Stephanie Link, and Waddell & Associates CEO.
I think we're in early innings. Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, I agree. Carry on.
Brian, tell us. Oh, okay. Great way to start. I think we're in early innings in AI. You're at right now about a total addressable market of about $301 billion, and that is expected to grow 40% CAGR by 2032 to 1.3 trillion. We don't really know if that's going to be the number or not, Brian, but the numbers are very, very big. And why I say that is because AI is only as good as the data that goes into it. So you need big data. You need data that has size and scale and companies that can offer that. That's the lifeblood of AI. So it stretches beyond just the top 10 companies that have in the S&P 500 that have AI exposure. And there's a lot of different beneficiaries, right? There's the device guys for inference, which we're just starting to get data from. And that's why NVIDIA actually exploded last week, because it became 40% of their total revenue. It's also training and infrastructure companies, software companies. So again, it kind of expands into such a big total, not only a total addressable market, but also total end markets and companies. Yeah. And so while maybe you don't want to chase NVIDIA here, there are a lot of companies that have not done as well over the last year or two that you can take a look at and have exposure to.
David, and I don't want to put words in Apollo or Torsten Slok's mouth, but I don't think they're saying it's a bust. But what it sounded like they were warning about, or potentially warning about, was that the valuation of these big companies was more extreme than the peak valuation of sort of similar companies back in the late 90s. Is there anything to that, or are you a full-on buyer of this AI train?
Well, first of all, if Jamie Dimon's bullish, then I'm bullish because he's been bearish just about everything. So if I go back and look at 1999, and I remember it, and I was there when Netscape went public and that whole thing happened. I mean, they were spraying IPOs everywhere. Right? The cab drivers had a long list of stocks that they were promoting, and Van Wagner's fund, which was the Cathie Wood of the day, was up like 200% in the first quarter of the year. So we are not in a bubble. This is 1995. This is not 1999. And I do think AI is business oxygen, and it's going to spread everywhere. Remember, we didn't have any earnings in the market last year outside of the Magnificent Seven. If we track forward over the next couple of years and some of this stuff starts to proliferate, because remember, we're still in early innings here, you could see earnings up 25% in the S&P 500, the 400, the 600, and returns are spread all over this market. In fact, I believe this is true, and Stephanie, correct me if it's not, but I think healthcare and financials are outperforming technology so far year to date, and the Magnificent Sevens become the Fantastic Four. So it just does not look like a bubble to me, and I believe in the promise of it from a productivity standpoint, and also you combine it with dexterous robotics, and we create virtual workers, and we got a worker shortage in the economy. So no, I'm pretty bullish on it, but it's not a 10-month story. It's a 10-year story. And by the way, last point, the 10 years that started 95 to 2005, the S&P was up 11% a year. Small caps were up 15% a year. So this is going to drive earnings. That's why Jamie believes, and so do I.
Well, dude, that was one of the best segments I've seen on CNBC in a while. That dude, I've never heard him talk before. In the past, he spent, what, a minute 30 saying all that? I think he hit the nail on the head. 1995 to 2005, S&P returned 11% year over year on average, and small caps at 15%. What if this is 1995? And so 2024 becomes till 2034, we're really in this market. He said a couple things that I thought were really important. Number one, he said AI is increasing productivity. That's being factored into earnings. He's saying we're seeing the numbers actually produce those earnings. He's also saying it's not really a bubble because healthcare and financials have done better than big tech year to date, which is incredible. I mean, I think I heard that stat a while ago, but I didn't even know that. Bitcoin back above 57,000 right now. CleanSpark 2270, Robinhood 1613. So if that's the case, and someone in the chat has a really good point right here, no comparison to 1999 for us old investors who lived through it. Yeah, if these are real numbers, this is not BS companies that are going public, pets.com sharing this vision of how they're going to democratize pets. Like, this is like real stuff happening. And if you don't produce the numbers like Unity, you get punished. If you produce the numbers like Palantir, you don't get punished. I don't know if we can keep saying that it's a bubble. I don't know if we can keep saying that. There might be a little bit of stretches in valuations, but a bubble means we're seeing a collapse back down to 3,500 on the S&P. And I don't think that's the case. Now, that happened in 2022. Dude, people forget, we went from 4,800 to 3,460 on the S&P. I mean, it was bad. And that was a year after we had the COVID collapse, and then we had the COVID run up, which was the bubble, right? And then we had the collapse. This to me seems like we're recovering from Palantir being at $6, from Google being at 90, from Meta being at 88. And to get back to that level, We had to raise interest rates. We had to combat inflation, which we're still doing. Zucks had to cut off thousands and thousands of employees, right? So the numbers had to make sense. And then they had to put up the actual earnings growth, which we've seen this earnings season. Numbers have been phenomenal across the board to be able to justify this rally. And I think that's why it's become evident that I don't think we're necessarily in a massive bubble here. And then he mentioned robotics at the end. That's also what I like to see. Dude, I'm telling you guys, the robotics thing is real. It's real. And like, it is a real thing. It is happening. More due diligence needs to be done. Like the fact that he even mentioned that, it's because Jensen Huang talked about it the other day in his interview. And I think a lot of people listened to what Jensen was trying to say about what's going to happen with robotics. And so, look, if that's the case, we're probably going to see a bit more run up in just in terms of valuations and what's going on. Here's the quote. Here, I got it from Jensen right now. So Jensen says this: there are a couple of things. One of them doesn't really have a name, but it's some of the work that we're doing in foundational robots. They just invested in Figure. If you could generate text, if you could generate images, can you also generate motion? The answer is probably yes. And then if you can generate motion, you can understand intent and generate a generalized version of articulation. Therefore, humanoid robotics should be right around the corner. I mean, that's a hell of a stat, right? That's a hell of a statement coming from someone who's pretty much predicted this thing before it all happened. It makes sense. Bitcoin right now, 57,000. Macy's, wow, Macy's is up 6%. Macy's did not have that good of an earnings, dude. I mean, you know what this is? You know what this is? I think these are people that are trying to do some sector rotation. I think people are taking some profits and they're pummeling it into names that have been beaten up, like Macy's, $5 billion company. They're like, you know what? They had a pretty decent earnings. Let's buy some Macy's. Macy's is up 5%. Nvidia down 1%. People are taking some profits there. It makes sense. People got to take some profits. People got to take some profits in some of these big names that have run. DNA is up 1.44%. Enphase 120. SolarEdge 67. Zoom is up 5%. They had dude, they're growing 2% year over year. I'm not kidding. They're literally growing 2% year over year. So Zoom is great, but it's at 66 right now. And they're up 5%, which is fine, but you know, it is what it is. They're not doing that incredible, but there's a big Kathy stock and they're up 5%. Snowflake, wow, 233. They're up 1%. They're up 1% as well. WS says, should you chase CleanSpark? The thing about CleanSpark is it can have a violent pullback, but they only have a violent pullback right now, 22, if Bitcoin has a violent pullback. Now, they can still fall even if Bitcoin doesn't have a pullback because people just sell, right? It gets like a little bit too pricey for some people. But if Bitcoin keeps running, I mean, CleanSpark's going to be more than $22 one day. So if you buy it, you have to have the intention that you want to DCA it with the assumption that Bitcoin will get to like 6 digits. So that's the only reason I would buy right now. But I wouldn't buy it just for the next week for it to go up 10%. I would buy it because you think over this cycle, Bitcoin will do well. Palo Alto Networks. What's this one? Wow, 7%, 324. Dude, it's basically recovered 21% or 18% of the earnings that they lost. That's insane, dude. That is insane. 94 Clip says there should be a pullback around the halving for sure. That's the time to load the boat. Yeah, that's one thing to remember. That'll hurt Robinhood. That'll hurt CleanSpark. That'll hurt all these guys. Before the halving, historically, if I'm not wrong, there is a pullback. That pullback's maybe what, 50K from 57. If that's the case, all of these stocks take a shit for a good probably like week. And that's when I think they get bought up on the dip. If, you know, the sentiment isn't horrible. And then post halving, they explode again. So if you miss some of these runs, I don't know if you have to chase right now. Now, granted, there has to actually be that pullback, and I don't know if that's going to happen. But if that does happen, that would be the opportunity to get into some of these names a little bit more. Robinhood right now, $15.99, up 2% in the pre-markets. Chris called it. Well, yeah, that is true about Palo Alto, dude. He thought it was going to what is it? He thought after Pelosi bought that it was going to do well. He thought after Pelosi bought it was going to do well. 57,112 right now on Bitcoin. Which stock will take the largest shit? Look, I think if Bitcoin falls, all the crypto names are going to take. Like the crypto names have run up a lot. Like, and the thing is, and I think this is something we have to remember, when these things run this bad or this high, the fall is pretty bad as well. Like it's like life doesn't just, you know, help you out. They slap you in the face a lot too. So like you can get some good days, but you're going to have some bad days, and there will be bad days when Bitcoin relaxes a little bit. And when let's say Bitcoin goes from 57 to 55. Yeah. Robinhood's not going to be at 16 anymore, you know, unless Robinhood got to 18 and then it falls back to 16. Like it's going to fall. Same thing with CleanSpark. Same thing with old MicroStrategy. We saw MicroStrategy guys go from 720 January 2nd to 803 at the end of January. Now it's at 859. So the volatility on these things is massive. It's just a question of trying to time it, which is not the easiest thing to do. It's not the easiest thing to do. Bay Ray says my Meta dividend is pending March 26th. That's going to be so cool, dude. Getting a dividend from Meta. That's going to be so cool. That's going to be so fun. It's full of paper-handed money when you get these runs. Well, that's also the thing. I mean, when you get these runs, people are sitting on a lot of profits right now. So like something like Robinhood, the reason I'm not selling is because I have till 2026. I understand the thesis. I have my conviction. And I understand it's deeply undervalued until 20-25 bucks. Like I just know that deeply. So no one can really knock me off of this. And so I get it. Now I made a mistake and I sold my $25 call options way too early. I told you guys on the market close, if I had kept the call options until now, let's say I sold them today in my Roth, we would have taken 14,000 and made it 50,000 in 2 weeks in my Roth if I had not sold my Robinhood call options. Instead, we turned it from 14 to 18,500. So that sucks. That definitely sucks, you know. But my thesis was when Nvidia was dropping the day before earnings, I was like, man, if Nvidia shits the bed, these gains, the 50% I'm up, this is not going to last. Like it's going away. If I had done a little bit more research on Nvidia and I had enough conviction that Nvidia was going to crush, I would not have sold those options. And the Roth we would have done like 10 years of allocation to the Roth in 2 weeks. That's tough, dude. To deal with that's tough. But it's a toxic mentality when you do this, you know, hindsight bias type of thing, and you guys just have to deal with it. But this is what I mean, right? Like when these runs happen, they really, really happen. And so thankfully the core position is intact, and that's till 2026. And now I kind of understand Bitcoin and Robinhood a lot better. And if I understand that just a little bit better before Nvidia, I think I would have kept those and we would have done well in those. But it is what it is. And so the core position is intact, and I'm really just letting that play out because I believe in what's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. But if it does, there's such a big margin of safety given the options we got were so cheap that we should still make some money at the end anyway. And we'll see. We'll see how it happens. Be real though, Chris scared you out of it. It's not Chris. I think it's in general. When I saw the market take a dump the day before Nvidia earnings, I just started to feel, man, I really don't want to be I don't want to lose money on these options that I'm up 50. But like, I think sometimes we forget, given that we play in the derivatives market. Damn, I've been saying options. You guys have to correct me when I say options, dude. We're playing with derivatives. That being up 50% on your money is not like, it's not a joke, dude. Like making 50% on your money, hell, making 20% on your money, like most people in the world cannot figure out how to make a return on anything, right? They exchange their time for money at a job. All of us are here, even if we do have jobs and side incomes and things we do, because we want to make our money make money. And when your money makes 50% in like 2 weeks, you're kind of like, well, that's really good. I should take some profits. But sometimes you got to look a little bit deeper and maybe there's more on the table, right? So it is what it is. Derek says, Amit, derivatives are forward contracts, future contracts, options contracts, swap contracts. Saying you're buying derivatives is like saying you're eating a fruit when you're eating a banana. Well, a fruit technically is a banana. So we're still working with derivatives, baby. We are not stopping the derivatives movement. You guys know my new name, right? My new name is Derivamit. Derivamit. That's my new name. It is what it is. Derivamit. Is what we're doing. This is how I'm engaging in my life now. Derivamit. All right, here's S&P to 5,400. Here's why it could potentially happen. Here we go.
It's hitting record highs recently is confirmation that we remain in a strong bull market, and she's raising her year-end target, the S&P 500. For more, I want to bring in Marianne Bartels, Chief Investment Strategist at Sanctuary Wealth. It's nice that you're so optimistic. We're going to talk a little bit later about some of the comments Jamie Dimon made yesterday, which I thought were, I think he might be optimistic, but worried deeply, I think, about a possible recession.
But bullish on AI.
That too. Where do you and Jamie agree or disagree, I guess, is the big question this morning.
Well, we agree on AI. I think it's really going to continue to transform global economies. And we're really seeing that get priced into the equity markets and on a global scale. This is not just a bull run in the United States. We're seeing some of the European markets hit record all-time highs. You're seeing Japan reach all-time highs since 1989, 1990. That market could be moving into a whole new secular bull market. So, and a lot of people have been saying that this rally is narrow, that it's only like the Magnificent Seven. We used to talk about FANG, but it really is a lot more. we're getting new highs in many different pockets of the market. And a barometer that you don't hear a lot of people talk about is the S&P advanced decline line. And that is confirming the breakout in the S&P 500.
So if you could own anything right now, are you in the Magnificent Seven category? Are you in the Fancy Four, Fantastic Four? I don't know. Some people have now moved it up to 5 again. Where are you?
We have been bullish on the Magnificent Seven. I think if you're managing a portfolio, there's a lot of risk of not owning some of these names. They're leaders in the AI space. And what I also point out, Andrew, to clients is most of the companies, at least right now, that are really developing AI are coming from the United States. We are the leaders. So not only are U.S. investors wanting to own these companies, but they want to be owned by international investors as well.
I mean, I think that's a good point there. You know, when they talk about recession, something that's also really interesting, and let me know in the chat as well. When a recession happens or before a recession happens, and so she's saying, like, I don't agree with Jamie Dimon on this, but I agree with AI. So the sort of paradox here is that he thinks there's a recession coming, but then AI is increasing earnings growth. I think if a recession were to come, and granted in 2008, I was really young, so I didn't really understand it that well, but on the ground, we would see some real things, right? So my question to the chat is, are you seeing some things in your life where you feel like stuff is happening, right? With your neighbors, or someone's losing, you know, their business went bankrupt, or yada, yada. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't talk to enough people, but from the people I talk to, there is not a massive sort of sense of like something is going on. Like, yeah, inflation. All of us have dealt with inflation over the past year and a half. But I don't know if there's this like feeling that like things are getting weird, and that, there's like the banks are feeling, I just don't know. They're usually on the ground. You feel if a recession's coming, you feel like, people are losing their jobs, and yeah, we're seeing a ton of layoffs, but the labor market is so good that even if Google fires 2,000 people, they can go find another job. Do you guys know the stat? 15,000 AI startups were started in 2023. All of those startups would love to have a Google engineer. I think venture capital spend, I want to get the exact stat on this, but last year, like 34 billion went into defense spending, venture capital spend 2023. Overall, look at this, $170 billion of VC money went into 15,000 deals. All of those new startups have tons of money to hire the Google engineers, right? Now in 2022, it's 242 billion. But the point is, like, this wouldn't be happening if there was a recession coming up. And in 2021, there was a bubble, but that wasn't necessarily a recession, right? And the bubble popped. But I don't think we would have seen that much happening or that much money going in if there's some massive cataclysmic event on the corner. Thomas says, I think the idea is if you can feel it is already too, if you can feel it's already too late because it can happen really fast. That is true. I mean, that's a good counterpoint. I just think we would, see a little bit more here. Okay, Pierre says housing is way too high. Yeah, housing is not good at 7.34%. But remember, that's not a structural problem. The reason mortgages are up is because of the supply of houses. If we fix the supply problem, which is not an easy problem to fix, but that is a problem that is, being attempted to fix. We got good housing data a couple of days ago, even though last week's wasn't the best, but the week over week data a couple of days ago was decent. That's going to solve the mortgage issue really quickly. First of all, rates coming down, that'll solve the mortgage issue, which by July, that'll probably come down as long as inflation comes down. And then number two, as we have more supply, eventually you will have that demand spread out across that supply. So like the banks won't have to charge these high mortgage rates because they won't have 50 people chasing one house. So I think those are things that can be solved. They're not like inherent, they're not credit default swaps on mortgages that are sold to strippers in 2008, right? Like it just doesn't feel like it's that structural like 2008 was. It feels like this is different. And then you got AI as the massive tailwind behind everything else. So I don't know. We'll see. And I know around the world, like you guys are saying, the UK, it's not perfect. It's not amazing. But if the United States collapses, then everything collapses, right? The United States is the big guy here. If we collapse, then everybody collapses. So there can be problems in other parts of the world, as long as in the United States, it's not horrible. And eventually things will, I think, play itself out. And in the United States so far, it's not necessarily looking like it's going to be some cataclysmic event here. Okay, let's look at this. As Citigroup sees S&P at 5,700. There's a minute clip. Let's listen to this, and then we'll move on from there.
The Goldilocks expectation out there that is forming, that you can see quite a big magnitude of cuts, but without any real sort of slowdown in terms of growth dynamics. And that, of course, is the challenge. So, if you think about our view of the S&P, obviously last year was a phenomenal year for the S&P. 27% growth. That was 60% driven by the Magnificent Seven. As we know, we've come into this year and our call has been this sort of broadening out of earnings growth.
So we broadens out, it doesn't top out.
Correct. We do still see some upside, although our base case, the upside is really not significant.
5,100 on the S&P.
Exactly.
But the bull case is 5,700.
Correct. And to get there, you've got to see $260 of earnings. You've got to see 23 times of earnings. So a multiple expansion. Now, look, for us, valuation isn't everything here at these levels. It's absolutely fair to say that in 90% of history, the S&P has been cheaper. So valuation is definitely at the high end. It's in that 10th decile from a valuation perspective overall. But when you use that looking forward, it's very rarely the right proxy to think about returns in the next 12 months. What matters much more is earnings momentum, which is a big theme, obviously, and of course flows and the positioning side of things in the market, as well as the rates piece. So we wouldn't use valuation as a reason to sell the S&P here. And in fact, we do see in that Goldilocks scenario some quite substantial upside still to come. But yes, we do think there's this broadening out thesis that needs to come through as well. There's this bit of a Goldilocks.
I wish she said derivatives with her beautiful accent. I would have loved to hear Citibank analysts talk about the derivatives market with her accent. Anyway, so I think her thesis makes a lot of sense here, right? Her argument was simply S&P is expensive if you look at just a pure kind of EPS forward earnings perspective, but valuation is not a reason to sell because it's going to broaden out. And if it broadens out, NVIDIA might lose some steam, but a bunch of the other 493 companies are going to get some steam. Those earnings are going to go up, and then the S&P will have substantial growth to show from there, which is why they think 5,400 is possible. And if that 5,400 happens, it's going to be a bull cycle. It's going to be a bull run in 2024 and maybe even beyond that. All right, so folks, we got $500 to spend. We'll end out the stream. We'll do this, then we'll do word of the day. We got $500 to spend in the public account that Derek gave us yesterday in the super chat. Now we have 3,289 so far or 3,789 in the public account. Do we just buy Palantir? Do we just buy a bunch of Palantir? Katie says that accent was good. Dude, my British accent is getting good. Like, I love the British accent so much. I wish I could just have. Dude, could you imagine listening to me for an hour every morning speaking with a British accent, dude? Do you guys know how, like, I don't think you guys understand how euphoric that would be for your ears if I had a proper British accent and I said, wake your ass up every day. Or your arses. Is that how they say it, the Brits? Wake your arses up. Like, that would be incredible. All right, we're just going to buy Palantir. We're just going to do it. It's the public fund. It's all going to be Palantir forever. Buy dollars, $500. Boom. Review order. You see how public doesn't ask me to do that stupid tip anymore? Because they know I'm not doing a tip. They know I'm not doing a tip. All right, $500. Oh, we have 520 cents. We're going to do 520 cents, baby. Oh, wow, that's at 50,000. I wish I could do 50,000. 500. Where's the period? They don't let you do a period? Okay, so I guess you can't do fractional with cents. All right, 520. There we go. We're going to get 20.79 shares. Palantir buy. We just DCA into this no matter if it's up or down. It's the public account, and we'll wake up in 10 years, and hopefully the public account will be up a shit ton of money. Submit order. This is Derek's super chat. Okay, boom. 24.08 per share. 20 more shares for Palantir. There you go. There you go. All right, let's take one more look at equities. Then we'll do word of the day, and then we'll be done for today. Here you go. So Bitcoin, 57,000. Tesla, 202. Ethereum, 32. SoFi 882, Disney 108, ARK 5093, Meta 485. Meta's doing great. Coinbase 203. Robinhood, I believe, is at 1586. Okay, so Robinhood taking a breather. Makes sense. Falling off a little bit. Same thing with CleanSpark. It was at 22. Now it's at 21. So things are selling off this morning, which is very reasonable for things to sell off. I mean, things have gone up a lot, so I would imagine people are taking their profits. And we'll see what happens later throughout the day. SMCI down about 3%. SMH is up 0.19. ARK 50, Rivian 1073, Ethereum E, that's up 3.39, AMD 176, Affirm 38, Nubank 1104. Let's look at the earnings from yesterday. Yesterday earnings were So, oh wow, Unity's down 7%, iRobot's down 13%, Hims is up 30%, CarGurus is down 6%, Workday is down 2%, and then Zoom is up 3.9%. All right, not too bad. Not too bad at all. And then Palantir, we just checked Palantir. That was at 23.99. Say it's right below 24. And then Robinhood at 15.81, 1.41%. Palantir 23.99, up 1.83% on the day. All right, there we go. There we go. Amidst British action is triggering. Dude, it's good. It's very good. You guys know my British action is good. It's good, guys. It's just I don't want to make your ears have eargasms every day. So I protect you guys from that happening. But still, it's good. Okay, couple announcements and then we'll do word of the day. Number one, I am releasing my software most likely on March 8th. So you guys know I've been working on a really cool software for Palantir investors. It's going to cost $42.69 per year. I think the value of it will far exceed the $3 a month you pay for it. And I'm going to be pitching that to you guys March 8th. And if you're interested at all, after the market open, we're going to have like a 30-minute presentation where you get to do Q&A, ask. And it's kind of like your investors thinking if you should invest in something in that you're not actually investing, you invest $40 if you want to buy it. And it's going to be me pitching it. So I built a slide deck. It's going to be super fun. It'll be a fun presentation. And it'll be kind of like a way for me to show off how I sell things and how I do marketing. Also, I forgot to tell you guys this. I told the market close, but I didn't tell you guys this on the market open because yesterday was so hectic. Your boy closed the $6,000 consulting what do you call it, package on Saturday. So if you guys follow me on Twitter, which if you're not following me on Twitter, it's a travesty because you didn't see that I tweeted this. But I tweeted this right before it happened. So I said, I'm about to close a $6,000 consulting package. Boom. I tweeted that shit at 2:34. And then at 2:47, I said closed. And so we closed it. I walked into that meeting and I was like, I'm going to close this. One of the people from the meeting said, I like his energy. Thanks for setting this up. And I in my bank account yesterday, $6,000 came. And so now I spent the $6,000 on something. I can't tell you guys yet. In a couple of weeks, I will tell you what I spent it on, which goes to my second announcement. First one is the software is coming out March 8th. Second one is I have a really big announcement to make outside of that software that's already done. And I will tell you guys that in a couple of weeks. And that announcement basically took the 6K I got yesterday. So you guys will hear about that. And then the third announcement is I guess I don't have a third announcement. I guess I love you guys. That's my third announcement. That's spent it on derivatives. No, it was not spent on derivatives. It was not spent. I don't know what options are anymore. I don't understand what that means, but I do know what derivatives are. That 6,000 was not spent on derivatives. It was spent on something else, and you guys are not going to believe what it was spent on when I announce it. I mean, like, it's going to be pretty insane. I'm going to do an hour-long presentation on what I spent that 6,000 on, and it's going to be cool, dude. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really, really fun. So that's 6K. The IRS is on the way, dude. Oh boy. Yeah. I definitely got to report that thing. I'm not having a kid. No, dude, I'm not having a kid. Goodness. A leather jacket. All right. You guys are funny. You guys, could you imagine? I spent this. Could you imagine? I was like, guys, I really believe in generative AI and accelerated computing. And I have to do it. So no, those are the two announcements. Software will be on March 8th. It'll be a fun pitch. You guys will see what I look like in a sales call because I closed that 6,000 over the weekend. And that was super fun, dude. Like I haven't taken up a debate client in like a year. And so a friend of a friend reached out and they were like, hey, I have this kid. He's really smart. He needs a good coach. He's in ninth grade. And if he had the right coach, he could become a superstar. And I took the meeting and I was like, all right, let's do the meeting. And then I met his parents and his parents are super cool. And they actually care about his success. So they're good people. And then they said, name your price. And I said, all right, this is my price. And dude, there was not even negotiation on the price. They were just like, all right, done. I was like, damn, I should have charged more. Like, obviously, I don't do that. It was a pretty reasonable price. I mean, it's pushing $100 an hour. So it's a good price. And yeah, so we got that done, but I haven't been in sales mode in a while. So it's going to be really fun when we launch the software because it's going to be sales mode. You guys are going to see me try to make an argument, which will be really fun. So that's the first one. Don't train him to debate with his parents. Yeah, no, I told his parents, look, he's going to start debating with you guys. Like if you guys tell him to do something, he's going to be able to say, well, what's your logical conclusion for how you came to this assumption? And his parents started laughing. But that's what happens, dude. When a kid learns how to debate, they end up beating back. And then his dad was like, all right, if he asks me that question, I'm going to say one thing, because I'm your fucking dad. And I started dying, dude. I was like, I like this guy. This guy is cool. This is my type of guy. He was like, yeah, if he asks me all these fancy debate questions, I'm going to tell him I'm his fucking father and he better listen. I was like, yep, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. 6,000 on British accent courses. You guys have, I think we have the best chat on YouTube because the jokes here are actually at a different level, dude. The jokes are phenomenal. They're great. Now they're abusive to me. And so, but I deal with the abuse. I've learned to deal with it. My skin is so thick. If you saw it at a club, you would ask for his fucking number. Okay. That's how thick my skin is. But nonetheless, I deal with it. So that's the announcement on the software. And then I'll have the other special announcement that'll come out in a couple weeks that I spent the 6,000 on that I think will be really cool. Okay. That's it for me. Word of the day. Word of the day is denouement.
Denouement.
Bruh. Hold on.
Denouement.
Hold on, guys. I did not plan this, dude. I did not know what the word of the day is. That is my type of fucking word, dude. I said denouement, and this is actually
denouement.
I am going to say this word for the rest of the day. The final resolution or intricacies of a plot, of a drama or a novel. As the play reached its denouement, the audience held their breath in anticipation. In a surprising denouement, the protagonist turned out to be the long-lost heir to the fortune. So whenever we're talking about the final resolution of something, it's a denouement. Okay, so in the stock market, it's like, all right, guys, so I got to the denouement of me selling some of these derivatives. And therefore, I made a profit, which is the final denouement of my journey with these derivatives. Because I'm derivative, okay? That's what we're doing here, folks. Thank you for being here. Market open. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys at 3:45 when the market close. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. I'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.